Hey, everybody, welcome to the Sky Lounge podcast, episode number 166. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Follow me at the Sky Lounge on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Music, and also check out at the Sky Lounge on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And without further ado, let's get shit started. Episode number 166. Documentation of sportsball greatness. ESPN documentaries, specifically the 30 for 30 documentaries on ESPN. And how appropriate. We got the 30 for 30 and 30 going on at the Sky Lounge podcast, and we are going to talk about 30 for 30 documentaries on ESPN. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. Been watching a lot of fucking sportsball documentaries. I mean, a lot. Just been binging through that shit thanks to ESPN Plus. And you might be asking yourself, why are you just binging on sportsball documentaries? Why? Because we haven't had fucking sportsball since March 12th here in the U.S. Everything just got shut down that day. Remember that? Remember that shit? I'm losing my goddamn mind, man. I'm losing my goddamn mind. You have no sports in this country. And collectively, we are losing our shits, right? Here's the thing. The NHL will eventually come back. They've already outlined this fucking play-in, playoff plan, okay? The NBA is... the NBA is going to be way too busy in politics because, you know, it's the woke league. You have to be political. And the MLB is just a fucking joke. Listen, if you're not familiar with what the fuck is going on with the MLB right now, they are still trying to figure out between ownership and the Players Association how to bring the league back into the season. Or even start the season. They didn't fucking start this goddamn season. And you have owners already talking about just canceling the season because of money issues. This is why I say the MLB is a fucking joke. Because you have a fucking league run by a backward-ass, stupid fucking idiot in Rob Manfred, who is a fucking bitch boy to these 32 fucking owners. There's a 30 owners, 32? I don't give a fuck. He's a little bitch errand boy to these fucking shit-ass owners who, by the way, they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about the fans. They're already getting fucking money pumped in. So, honestly, I could do without the MLB. I really can. I got my Cody Bellinger jersey. I got all my Dodgers boys jersey, but if it don't happen, it don't happen. And the MLB should really take a really fucking good look at themselves and say, hey, maybe when we come back eventually, we can figure out this fucking problem of a league where, holy shit, when you cheat, you are awarded with the World Series. Is that right? Fuck you, Houston. Fuck the Houston Asterisks. Fuck you. Thank God for the NFL. Thank God for the NFL. They're showing some level of consistency moving forward. And yeah, I'm not a fucking idiot either. The NFL isn't a perfect institution. Their PR history speaks for itself. Oh, we got Michael Vick. Oh, we got CTE issues. But yeah, it's football. And at least it's coming back eventually in September. Hopefully the world in the United States is still fucking going around. And not everyone's dead. But something to look forward to in the fall. Something to look forward to. And yeah, man, I mean, you got the Premier League coming back on June 17th, right? And as an Arsenal fan, I got to tell you, it's not much of a positive outlook for them to come back. So yeah, sportsball documentaries have been just satiating this vast emptiness that is the sportsball hole in my soul and heart. And there's a lot of cholesterols and other fucking grimy shit in that artery. So, you know, we got to figure it out. We got to figure it out. And ESPN, thankfully, got their shit figured out, relatively speaking. At least in the documentaries department, they got their shit figured out. I'm not going to fucking praise any other garbage ass fucking talk shows like Highly Questionable or First Take or any of those goddamn woke ass diverse programs I don't want to even fucking get into. ESPN, thankfully, has been churning out great documentaries. And if you got ESPN Plus, listen, you have an archive of amazing 30 for 30 documentaries, and I would highly recommend any of you interested, go check it out. So your boy's been binging. Your boy's been binging on all these documentaries that's been out, and most recently here in our world, we have been privileged to witness 7 weeks of great documentaries. And yeah, ESPN actually had to, I guess, bring forth their fucking documentaries a little bit earlier ahead of schedule because of the pandemic. And for 7 weeks, we've had 2 absolutely amazing documentaries. And obviously, The Last Dance is amazing, but I want to talk about Lance, the recent 2-parter documentary tracing the life of Lance Armstrong and his downfall from public eye. And I think as choppy as the documentary was, and that's all subjective, right? I mean, the choppiness is all based on who watches it, and for me, it felt pretty choppy. I found the cantankerous state and nature of this very corrupt sports league brought to light fascinating. I just thought this whole culture and history of cycling to be mired in so much controversy and just flat out just raw fucking pure corruption. Just fucking wild. Just fucking wild. I mean, the goddamn cycling world, if you watch this documentary, and if you do a little bit of Wikipedia research, or any goddamn research, Wikipedia, newspaper, whatever the fuck, you realize the goddamn cycling world was the fucking Wild Wild West in the 90s. Everyone's doping, everyone's putting a syringe in their ass or wherever the fuck the goddamn thing has to go, and probably the fucking arm veins and shit. But that shit is rampant, and with little to no accountability, no responsibility, you're not going to have reputable league with outstanding players nor administrators. Like, that's just a given. That's just a fucking given. So when you have Lance Armstrong, this polarizing figure, and he's painted as he's not painted as a sympathetic character nor a malevolent figure, but he's left as this just kind of gray blob of a figure in terms of morality. And I think that is really what fascinated me about this documentary. There wasn't a point where I thought, this is a good dude, this is a bad dude. I just right there in the middle, that gray area of, wow, there's a lot of intricate strings just pulling this guy's life along. And it's just wild to see that you have people like this who are going to compete and who are going to do everything they can to maintain what they got. And obviously, Lance Armstrong's story is just fascinating in the sense that it is such a Greek tragedy. It is such a typical Shakespearean tragedy, and I guess more of a Shakespearean tragedy. You got the fucking little hill in the story. Got your fucking rise, your peak, and then your fucking fall, just as dramatic. And I had to think about this. Like, why is that drop so fucking high? Well, obviously, I mean, Lance Armstrong lying and committing perjury, that has a lot to do with it. But it's the sentiment that I always go back to. It's, if you're an ultra high level competitor that just happens to be an athlete, you need to be a little psycho. You need to be a little psychopathic to get shit done. And that's not a professional diagnosis by any fucking means. I mean, look at me. I got Sportsball jerseys. I'm talking fucking nonsense out of chair. There's no professional diagnosis here, but what I have observed through these athletes is we've seen the best athletes in history exhibit behaviors like this all the fucking time. The best of the best. Which brings us to the fucking sexy dessert of our collective quarantine, which was The Last Dance. Now, listen. I don't know where the fuck everybody else was at for 5 weeks when this documentary was going on, but I was salivating at each and every episode on Sunday, thinking, oh my God, we are going to get something great. We're going to get something amazing. And I will say The Last Dance did not disappoint. I think, relatively speaking, it lived up to its hype. And what else can you say? Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. MJ. The greatest of all time. But you also have to realize that Michael Jordan was one of the biggest fucking egomaniac psychopaths in the NBA. And really, you could argue sports history. And you know, as much as people want to berate that, that's part of his greatness. That just egomaniacal, near dictator, tyrannical, psychopath fucking style of doing things, that's part of his greatness. And this is how crazy MJ is. I mean, that's the thing. Competitiveness to the point of fabricating tensions and conflicts is something fucking special. That kind of shit you do when you understand that there is nothing else but the win. There's nothing but the goal. And it's wild to me because as a Lakers fan, and I obviously don't hide it, as a Kobe fanboy, you saw just how much Kobe idolized this man. To say Kobe was a carbon copy of Jordan feels like an understatement. I mean, when you're watching some of these MJ highlights and you remember Kobe, you remember what he did on the court, and then you go back and watch his highlights and put them side by side. It's, you know, it's heartbreaking because I love Kobe Bryant. I idolize Kobe Bryant, and yeah, I know he's not a perfect human being. He's made some horrendous mistakes in his personal life, and I don't idolize that part. What I idolize is the man that has had the challenges come his way, had the fuck ups, you know, and grew. And whether you agree with that sentiment or not, whether you hate or love Kobe Bryant, I don't really care. I interpret things in certain ways for me to benefit off of someone else's philosophy. So that sounds like I'm a fucking succubus, but hear me out. If Kobe Bryant has a certain philosophy about doing something, I want to adapt that part and put it into my philosophy. That's what I like to do. That's what I mean when I say I idolize athletes. There are certain aspects about their mentality, their game, something that I love that I can appreciate and apply to my own life. And really that, you know, Kobe Bryant, that's my fucking guy. And to see MJ, you know, in The Last Dance doing all these things and then just thinking about Kobe, it's just the techniques, the mentality, the mannerisms, and even at times the walk. I mean, Kobe was a guy who wanted to be like Mike. Like Mike. I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Motherfucker, everybody wants to be like Mike. They even made that movie with Lil Bow Wow. Like Mike. That shit just came to this country, and that shit was fucking weird. But I found The Last Dance to be a fascinating stepping stone for ESPN eventually to make the Kobe Bryant documentary. Because, I mean, like Mike, you know, you got Kobe Bryant, you know, doing his thing for 20 years. And yeah, ESPN, owned by Disney, knows when and how to make money. And going off of your little sympathy shit and card, ESPN is going to figure out a way to milk that shit out. They will. And you know what? It's probably going to be an 8-part documentary series, and I'm going to watch it multiple times, and probably have a box of tissue ready because I am an overly emotional bitch when it comes to documentaries, especially when they're really well written. I mean, The Last Dance had some incredible moments in terms of storytelling and you know how they reel the audience in. And as somebody who's never experienced Jordan, I found this whole series to be just enlightening. I came to this country in 1998, and whilst living in Los Angeles, I got to watch the Lakers become a dynasty from 98 to 04. Did I move there in 04? 02? 04. Son of a bitch. God, 04 is 16 years ago. I'm an old man. But yeah, no, when I lived in Los Angeles from 98 to 04, I watched the Lakers become a dynasty. And as soon as I leave the city, the dynasty completely shatters by, you know, the Detroit Pistons, who they will cling to that shit forever. Detroit Pistons fans will cling onto the 89 title and the 04 title against Lakers fans forever. And I always admit, like, yeah, you were good, but relatively speaking to your franchise's history, like, you haven't really done anything other than that. Cool, the repeat in 90 against the Portland Trailblazers, who are just historically bad. Just fucking losers always. But yeah, Pistons fans just have a tendency to do that. But fair play. Detroit generally does that. But it was a different time for me. Watching that dynasty and putting that into perspective against the last dance and Jordan's tenure in the NBA, you realize that, yeah, for me, Kobe was my guy, and the generation before me, it was MJ. And I always have conversation with guys who are, about a decade or so older than me who witnessed Jordan, and they would just talk about just this level of magic that Jordan would play with, and just this ferocity that you don't really fucking see in a lot of players, especially in the NBA now. I mean, you got the banana boat boys, you got the TikTok boys, all these fucking millennial and just young assholes who just don't fucking think for themselves. But hey. It's not a surprise. It's not a surprise when you have these older fans who are Chicago fans, and they're nowhere near Chicago. It's MJ. It's MJ. And of course, I'm not debating who's better. Let's just get that out of the way. I'm never going to fucking debate who's better than MJ, because there's not. Unless somebody comes in the near future and wins like 6 straight fucking NBA championships in the modern era. Like, oh my God, that would be something else. But it's cool to see a historical transition in the NBA, every 10 years or so. And it's natural. I mean, it's the natural part of sports ball. You have superstars that get old, and the new generation comes in, and where you had that MJ era transition to, I would argue, the big three in Shaq, Tim Duncan, and Kobe, with a special mention to Dirk out there in the early parts of the 2000s, and now with LeBron James and KD, Giannis, and hopefully my boy Luka, it's just going to be a better league. It's still basketball, so not going to wish too much, man. Not going to wish too much. With the hand checking shit, it's just weird, man. It's weird. It's weird. But what you see clear as day is being top dog is a fucking lonely existence. But you need to be a different kind of animal to want it and maintain it. Not everyone is going to be tasked to do something like that. They're just not. They don't have the mentality to do it. They don't want to teach themselves the mentality to do it. And MJ seems, by all accounts, like one of those guys that is peaceful in his comfort zone and in his lonesome. But on the battlefield, man, you don't fuck with Hercules. You just don't fuck with Hercules, man. Or would that be Hercules or Lu Bu from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms? I don't know. I'm trying to mix up my references here, but all I'm saying is MJ is basically a god on the battlefield. Dude, it's just fucking amazing. I lose my fucking mind just watching Jordan highlights, man. It's fucking wild, the shit that man was able to do. And really, The Last Dance was a brilliant 5-week stretch of weekly memes and talking points for sportsball fans. And, despite the fact that network television tried to cram down every garbage LeBron James, Michael Jordan debate possible, I mean, The Last Dance was a tremendous reprieve for every, downtrodden fucking people here in the U.S. just quarantined and shit. So, yeah, I mean, it was a great distraction for 5 weeks. I mean, we got to bask in the glory that is MJ and those highlights, man. Those highlights. Just incredible. I mean, that game against the Celtics where Jordan puts up 63 points, I mean, the efficiency that he operates under, it's just wild. It is just fucking insane. And listen, if you want more MJ shit, just go on to YouTube. Watch MJ highlights. You will come as much as Pornhub. But probably not, because porn, basketball, which would you legitimately ejaculate to? Probably porn, because it's genitals and titties and dicks and balls and all the shit that everybody else likes and shit. I don't fucking know, man. Dude, you're losing your fucking mind here. I am. Talk about masturbating to fucking Michael Jordan highlights. God damn it, dude. You're losing your fucking mind. But it's okay. Because despite the fact that I'm losing my goddamn mind, kids, I got some recommendations for you. I do. Supplementary documentaries that you can watch along with The Last Dance, all on ESPN Plus, y'all. Celtics, Lakers, best of enemies. I'm a Lakers fan, so I, no doubt, enjoyed this one. Legit. Beautiful. Bad Boys. And as much as I berated the Detroit Pistons, I think the Bad Boys was one of the best fucking teams in NBA history. Rodman, for better or worse, another very polarizing figure in the sports ball world, but fascinating character, fascinating psychology to just delve into. There's also Jordan Rides the Bus, something I need to watch real soon. Talking about Jordan's time in baseball, which, yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of ins and outs and intricacies behind that, but still haven't watched it. But it's on the list. It's on the queue. And you also got Winning Time. Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks. Reggie Miller is one of my favorite basketball players. I love Reggie Miller. I love watching his highlights. And this documentary cemented my fascination and love with Reggie Miller. The dude's just unbelievable. And so, yeah, you have those documentaries if you want to check out to watch with The Last Dance, but absolutely, if you have 10 hours to spare, go watch The Last Dance. Go fucking watch The Last Dance. You might as well. We probably have another fucking quarantine coming soon. So, woo! Speaking of woo, we got to talk about Nature Boy! So, Ric Flair had a documentary made about him, 30 for 30, and I didn't realize how much I would enjoy this documentary. I honestly didn't realize how much I would be fascinated by Ric Flair's life, and I legitimately teared up. a couple moments. I legitimately cried. Just fucking tears, just like, oh my God. And it was a moment where, Rick loses his son to an overdose, and, subsequently his daughter, in memory of him, becomes a fucking wrestler. And, I haven't watched the WWE/WWF since I was a kid, back in Los Angeles, up to what, probably 03, 04. But I was a huge WWF fan, and it took me back. I mean, watching this shit, despite the fact that I don't watch it now, it took me back. It took me to that like great time of, why wrestling was so important to me. I mean, the bravado, the showmanship, and something that I didn't realize at that point, but the choreography that goes into it. It just such great shit. And for me, I mean, back when I was watching the WWF, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Rikishi, the fucking ass, just fucking motorboat attack. Terrible, but it worked. And you got your boy Eddie Guerrero, Mamacita Latino Heat. It was a fucking time to be a wrestling fan. And watching Ric Flair, it made me realize, I mean, he basically trumps all these guys. All the guys I grew up with and loved, who are considered massive figures in wrestling. I mean, Ric Flair just pulls them out of the goddamn water. And here's the thing. Obviously, the phrase wrestling is fake always comes to mind when discussing WWE, WWF, NWO, AEW, any of the wrestling, any of the pro wrestling stuff that's going on in television. But the documentaries, through interviews and highlights, it just shows the intricacies, like the subtle intricacies and the really grueling process behind wrestling. And I think showing more behind the scenes shit like that makes you appreciate what's going on, and it makes you appreciate the product more. And I guess, despite the fact that I won't be watching wrestling anytime soon, I can have a deeper level of appreciation for wrestling because of that. And so, shout out to Ric Flair, because knowledge is power, kids. Woo! That's right. And a couple more documentaries that I want to talk about here on this episode, kids. And I know we've been going on for a bit. We've been going on for a bit. I've been talking about The Last Dance. I've been talking about Lance. I've been talking about fucking Nature Boy. And I know for some of you right now, you're just sitting there wondering, like, what the fuck? Some boring ass Sportsball documentary shit. The fuck you, dude. I'll talk about the shit that's going on in the world right now. Motherfucker, in due time. In due time. Trust me. And it's appropriate that we talk about this next documentary in Once Brothers. A basketball documentary that's been around since, I believe, 2011. But I finally got around to it. Story about, the Balkan Wars, Vlade Divac, Drazen Petrovic's career into the NBA, their eventual, schism due to politics and the Balkan War. I mean, it's a fascinating documentary. It is so full of information, content, emotion, narrative. It's a great documentary. And obviously the biggest takeaway when you're watching this thing is Drazen Petrovic was taken away from this world far too soon. Far too soon. When you watch this dude's highlights, it's something that I would have loved to see being translated into the late 90s and seeing what kind of dynamic his presence would have created in the Eastern Conference, especially if he was staying with the New Jersey Nets. Maybe if he stayed, I mean, he causes some trouble for Michael Jordan. Who the hell knows? But it's one of those documentaries where you're gonna see some gruesome details about the Balkan War, which is such recent history, and crazy to think that we're only not even 30 years away from that incident. And you see, because of that, you have these European players who are just tough sons of bitches, just fucking playing through and getting shit done. And, guys like Drazen Petrovic, Vlade Divac, Tony Kukoc, being notable names, powering through, getting shit done. It's just impressive. It's just all around impressive. And again, great documentary to check out, right? And kids, I'll throw another documentary at you. We talked about basketball. We talked about bloody wrestling. Talked about goddamn cycling. So it's only fair that we talk a little bit of football. So last little thing here. Yeah. CTE is fucking scary. CTE is fucking scary. And when you watch Junior Seau's journey from kid to adult, his love and fascination of football becoming a tool for his, obviously, financial gains, which leads to just this horrible end where he takes his life at the age of 43. It's crazy because you begin to realize, behind the optimism and, hope of sports ball, that we as fans, consume, there's a lot of depressing shit that goes on behind the scenes in sports ball. I mean, yeah, you have this whole CTE thing. You have contract disputes. You have unfair practices from ownership in whatever sports. Whole bunch of fucking shit that goes on in sports that we just don't know. And it's documentaries like these, like Seau, like Once Brothers, like Lance, The Last Dance, Nature Boy, that we get to appreciate the sports more because we understand the intricacies and the sacrifices these men make to entertain us. And it's just fascinating to see what makes these individuals tick. And something that's going to be coming up real soon on ESPN next week is Be Water. The documentary is coming out this Sunday. It's about Bruce Lee. It's about Bruce Lee. And, with the preview, you're already seeing, Asian discrimination in United States history, Bruce Lee's, trials and tribulations. And I can't wait. Because it's all kind of related to the way shit's going on in the world right now, right? Really is. But ultimately, guys, ESPN, I appreciate your wacky ass station being able to provide quality sports documentaries, despite the fact that, most of your programs are genuinely painful to watch. But please, keep churning out these documentaries. I'm not complaining about the documentaries. Just keep pushing that shit out. But guys, next episode on the Sky Lounge, George Floyd's murder and the state of our country. Honestly, I don't really give a shit if any of you agree with me. I'm just going to say what I have to say. So, tune into the next episode. All right, motherfuckers. I appreciate you dropping by this episode, kids. Follow me at the Sky Lounge on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Music. And also check out at the Sky Lounge on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Until next time, kids, while I'm actually lighting this up to celebrate the good times we're about to have throughout the week. On the podcast, fuck off.